right, guys, welcome to the Daily Fight. My name is Robin Tanner, and I am your host. Today, guys, I have got a badass woman with us today as part of this series on the rise to your future self. I have Alexia Gonzalez. She is one badass. I'm super excited to get to know her more and share her story. She is the founder of the Gala group, St. Pete Gals. She is a TV radio host. She is a Tampa Bay storyteller. She's a content creator, lifestyle, fashion, digital creator. She is home shopping network host. She is everywhere in Tampa Bay. And I just absolutely love her energy. I met her a couple of months ago on Instagram doing a live. And instantly I felt like compelled to want to know more about this woman. So thank you so much today for joining me on the Daily Fight podcast. Alexia, I'm so glad that you are here. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Robin. Yes, when we first connected through empowerment, shout out, I felt such a draw to you as well and was very inspired by your story. So I'm excited that we're able to connect one-on-one.
Yeah, I love it. Well, let's dive right in. And so those of you that are first turning into the Daily Fight, this is all about the rise and the fight for your dreams, for your future self. So I'm all about the struggle, the raw, the ugly truth, the good, the bad, the ugly. And this is really about surrendering your old self, questioning your current self, and fighting for your future self. So Alexia really doesn't know what I'm going to ask her today. She is a total trooper today. She knows a little bit, but we're going to dive into the behind the scenes of how she got to where she is today, what she's doing, what her dreams are, and what that kind of internal like struggle is and inner strength that she needs to make things happen so that she's not settling in life. So to begin with that, I want you to introduce yourself in a way behind like the bio and behind the scenes, like that captures what you're fighting for.
Yeah, okay. So that's interesting because I usually have the elevator pitch of who I am.
Right?
And
No elevator pitch. Like, what are you fighting for? Like, what is all of this for?
yeah, so I mean, I come from a corporate background. I got my master's degree in communications. My parents were both in corporate America, actually in broadcasting and media. And I always felt like I want that corner office. I want to be the executive VP of a corporation, blah, blah, blah. So I started that path, got my degree, graduated, and then started working for a huge PR firm in travel and hotel public relations, working with these major brands, traveling the world. I was with Hard Rock International and Marriott, just doing really cool things. And I was always able to differentiate myself as, with my energy, with my drive, and also as a Latina, as a bilingual Hispanic American woman. So I did that for about 10 years and was always pushing and fighting, gave my life to this corporation and, realized, wow, I'm doing all this for the man, for somebody else.
Yeah.
And where is this leading me to? And then, I can touch on it further, but basically I got fired from another job that I went to take that shiny role, and they let me go and really didn't have a reason for it. And that was the start. I felt like that was the death of my ego and the start of the new chapter, the Gala group, the Gala. That's when I went on my own. But it was that experience that really taught me, like, we're so primed our lives to work in this corporate kind of mindset, go to college, do it that way. You have to work the 9 to 5, fight for the corner office, be kind of busy if you need to, and step on who you need to, and even sexualize yourself into a commodity to get to where you need to. I've, done that quite a bit through those corporate years. So realizing that isn't the way, that isn't the only path. And of course that is a path for some, but you don't have to go that direction. And for me, it was a release, the death of an ego, to kind of realize like I can shed that and go in my own journey, start a new path based on myself and rooted in my own beliefs and values. And that's connecting women, highlighting diversity and inclusion, and just, showcasing a positive, safe space. And that's kind of what I like to do with my platforms. And that's my mission, to continue doing that and showing women, hey, you can really work for yourself, do what drives you and makes you passionate every day without having to answer to a corporate entity or a patriarchy or what we were primed to do as little girls. So I never realized that was my plan B mission, but that's kind of, that's the under.
I
story.
love that. That makes sense. Like your background, your history makes sense now for like what you're doing. I can totally see that. I love what you said about the two things, the fighting for that corner office, because when I bring up the daily fight, like initially people are like, oh my God, life's a struggle, life's a battle. But I think everybody's got a fighter inside and we're all fighting for something. And sometimes
Yeah.
we're fighting the wrong fight. And so you said it there yourself, like you're fighting somebody else's battle, somebody else's dream. And like that wasn't really for you. And the death of the ego, I love that. So there had to be a switch though, because some people, there's a difference here. There's a line that we cross because this is not normal. What you do is not normal. What we do is not normal. We get this. And so there's a woman out there listening. There's a bunch of them out there listening that like, this is not normal crossing over because you could have gotten another 9 to 5, probably easy, just like that. You could have put your resume out and got a recruiter and the next day, Monday, been right back at another corporate job, but there was something inside of you that was like, no, I'm going to go do this on my own. Do you remember that moment? Like, was it an inner knowing, a gut feeling? Like, I call it like a restlessness inside. Like, there's this nudge because you kind of just like, oh, and so I started this and it went into this mission. And I kind of do the same thing when I'm talking about how I got catapulted into speaking and writing and coaching and the things that we're doing now on our mission. But there's a moment in your life where you made a decision to go all in on yourself versus to continue to fight for another corner office. Do you remember what that was like?
Yeah, I mean, so going way back to, know where you're going to know where you come from. So I grew up in Miami. My parents were both in the media industry, but I come from divorce. My mom, prior to my
Yeah.
stepdad, who I always refer to as my dad, she was in an abusive marriage. She had a really toxic marriage to my father, who we call the sperm donor. I don't have a relationship with him at this current
Okay.
time in life. And he actually was emotionally abusive to me. I never succumbed to any of the physical abuse. That was all my mom. But even following the divorce, I was used as a pawn, kind of a tool for him to get money from my mom, who was working her ass off, being a badass in, the early 90s, the 80s. I was born 93. So she was doing her corporate thing and she was the bread maker in their relationship. And so she finally realized she needed to get out. She had a moment where she was holding me and she got hit and realized I need to get out of this. And that was her turning point. And then she met my stepdad.
Mm-hmm.
But she was always working her butt off, being that corporate baddie. And this man comes here and tries to take that all away from her and, dims her light and all of those kinds of things. And then she met this new amazing husband who she's with to this day. And, I had joint custody with my dad. So he lived in a like more of an impoverished neighborhood in Miami. So I would have one weekend in like kind of this more like ghetto area of Miami. And then I'd go to my mom and my stepdad who lived in a really high end neighborhood in Miami. So I was seeing
Okay.
both sides of the fence from an early age and appreciating those kinds of things, economic standpoint, street smart, having to kind of defend myself and put up a shield. I was also an only child. So it was kind of lonely, had to learn how to entertain myself and really like mature at a young age. And then my dad actually
Right.
suffered from a stroke when I was about 10 years old. He was driving me to take me away from my mom, to kidnap me, to take me out of the country. And he suffered a brain aneurysm during that car ride. And that was it.
Wow.
Complete brain aneurysm. His right side was paralyzed, completely lost, can't speak, just basically like a vegetable of a person after that. And I felt like that was karma doing its work, quite frankly. And just, seeing that whole experience, I haven't really had a relationship with my father since that. That was
Wow.
always a really big driving force for me to show like, hey, he really didn't make much of an effort to be a father either. So after, that happened, I was at a place where I could make the decision to not continue visiting and things like that. So at like 14, 15, I realized, I'm going to make this choice to let this part of my life go, death of that ego. And that made me really resilient but also really driven to like prove something to someone. I wonder who.
Mm.
And around that time, I actually started singing and acting in the Spanish media industry. I was in soap
Okay.
operas, doing music with Sony Records. I had a single signed to Sony that was
Look
on the
at
Billboard Latin pop charts. I was on the radio for a couple of months and it was an exciting period. And I was also simultaneously, I was like 14, 15 years old, going through a lot of inner
Yeah.
rebellion. and turmoil of like
Yeah,
processing everything that had just happened with my dad. And so it was a crazy, chaotic time. And then I just kind of let it all go and said, I don't want to be an artist. I'm going to go into corporate America. I need some like stability. There was a lot of rejection and like the trying to be a singer and artist, and also exposure to like a lot of bad things. I was in Miami and exposed to like drugs and that lifestyle at an early age. So I made the decision to pursue my education and go forward with my studies. And that's where
mm,
like media and
again,
communications and marketing and all of that came in. But yeah, it was like two substantial, I feel like, transitions that I went through at a really young age that forced me to like realize that I always have to be independent and be able to pivot when needed, and also kind of like compartmentalize and block things out, which isn't always the healthiest. But that's always
yeah,
been something that, you know, how am I going to renew myself and develop in this next new chapter? So when I got to the point that I was, you know, I was actually in that corporate job for in one agency for about 7 years, and then moved here to Tampa Bay and started working at the Dali Museum, which I love so much. And my platform, the Gala Life, was actually named after Dali's wife, Gala Dali, because I was really inspired by her like badass momentum. She was the business mindset behind Dali and his art. So she inspired the name of the platform. I had a beautiful time working at the Dali, and then I got poached by another corporate agency that said, "Hey, we can pay you a lot more money than you're making now at the museum. You know, you should come work for us." So I took the shiny ball, which killed me because I loved like the art and the atmosphere at the museum, and but it was double the pay. So I said, okay, let me chase the money like I've been taught to do so, and then had a miserable experience with them and was let go. And that moment was when all of those learnings of the past two transitions in my life kind of came in. And I said, you know what? Like, F this. I'm not going to look for that 9 to 5 job at the other agency. I'm going to put all of this passion and all of these learnings to work and push for that goal that I always had of merging my background in acting and singing and all of that with the marketing experience. And that's where kind of hosting has come into play. So
yeah.
that's always been the goal. I did host when I was younger in a Spanish gossip entertainment show, but that's always kind of been like my dream. And I was able
I
to
love
start
it.
getting clients and stuff. But I realized like, no, I'm really going to push on this and really give it a good try. And that since then, you know, I've gotten on television. I have a morning radio show. You know, I'm doing these things and also doing content creation, working PR for some clients that I still work with. And I get to kind of dabble in all of these areas of expertise and passion points. And now I get to do it for myself. So it was really pulling in that little girl, that moment of fear, when I was, you know, so young and didn't know what to do. Or I have an amazing mother and an amazing relationship with her. So that has always been a backbone of strength and guidance. But just, I think, realizing like, hey, I don't have to answer to anybody. Like I can do this
Yeah.
for myself and take this next step and start my own journey.
I love that. I absolutely, absolutely love that. I love that you're the inner rebellion. Of course, I'm going to pick out all the like rebellious pieces, but again, I noticed again you had another choice, right? Like you had that other decision. You could have gone like the wrong path with like the drugs and that like path, and you didn't, and you chose education and to, you know, like elevate yourself and to choose your passions. And now that you're dabbling, and just the resilience of going through all those traumas. And I think I'm sure there's science out there about like all of the high performing women, high caliber women, like were born out of trauma and healing and grief and pain and adversity. And of course that's my story and my message, but it's what we do with it. So you mentioned dabbling, which I love because I feel like I'm dabbling. And I sometimes I feel like the noise out there, it's like don't dabble, like don't, you can't have your hands in too many buckets, you have to niche down. And I was talking about this last week with another guest on the podcast, and she's dabbling, and it's like we're almost rebelling against what they're trying to tell us not to do, because we're
But
rebelling against that norm of like, but wait, I want to see where this is going. And when you're telling me like I'm going to keep pushing, I'm hearing in my speak, she's macheting her path. She's like, fuck this. I'm creating my own way. I'm not waiting for anybody else to do it. I've gotten let go twice. Most people would whine and cry about it. I'm going to stand up. I'm putting on my like warrior pants and I'm fucking doing this. I drop the F bombs. Like I just let it all go. But you,
Goosebumps. I love that.
yeah, like I'm allowed, right? It's my podcast. I can do what I want.
Oh
But
yeah.
like you're literally deciding not to sit on the couch and whine and be a victim about it, even though you have every right to, right? So now you're dabbling in all these areas. I like to call it experimenting, right? We're testing. We're kind of like seeing where you're 31. We kind of talked a little bit before the show. You're married. You're about to close on your house. I'm just spilling the goods on you. Sorry, not
No,
sorry.
go for
But
it.
you're in a good place where you can do it. I don't see you sacrificing your health. Like do you feel like you're sacrificing any things? I know sometimes on the surface we look like we have all our shit together and then behind the scenes we don't. I deal with a lot of clients that feel like they have to sacrifice their business or their bank account for, their husband or their body or their health, or they put themselves on the back burner. Clearly, you're not putting yourself or your dreams on the back burner. So where were you dabbling and experimenting in your life? Where do you want this to lead in your fight for your future self? Like, do you have, like, are you just up for anything and you're just going to keep kind of macheting your path forward and see where it goes? Or do you really have a vision for yourself that you're fighting for?
I love that you say that. I love everything that you just said, actually. And yeah, the rebellion, I think it's a big part of who I am. I feel like sometimes people think I put on a very like polished persona. And I think because of TV and the Home Shopping
Yeah.
Network, we're kind of trained. But like, yeah, I was a hippie chick in high school. Like I got kicked out of high school and went to art school and like was sneaking out of the house and going through a rough period where my mom was like, oh shit, like, is she going to be okay? And it was me
Yeah.
and yelling because of all of that stuff that happened with my
Sure.
dad. And
That's a lot.
I felt like a black sheep a lot. Like I was kicked out of this really ritzy private school in Miami with like a class of 60 graduating students. And like everyone knew that I was the girl who got kicked out. And so I always have kind of lived with this, like, it's me against the world mindset. And I'm okay with that. And I think that has almost become a detriment to a place where, like, because I work so much and I work so hard, I struggle with my social life right now. And I'm trying to do
Okay.
better at that. But like, even though it seems like,
Wait, you struggle with your social life, right? I'm going to interrupt you but this is a good example of you're out there doing it. But you're doing all of the things because this is what people would think, right? You have the perfect social life because we see it on social media, but you're doing your job.
yeah.
You are representing your brand and these foundations and your mission and these companies, and you're on a mission, right? And you're performing at times. Like,
Oh yeah.
let's be real. Like, when I'm speaking, I'm performing. When I'm doing fitness and I'm performing. Like, but I struggle with my social life, so it's like, so tell me about that. Like, I'm going to stop you right there because you look like you have this beautiful social life, but tell me more
I
about it.
do. I have so many amazing friends and connections in this community and in Miami and around the country because friends from college. But I've always been the kind that I keep a few really, really close, tight friends, and that's my core. And I'm even noticing myself struggling with those relationships and reaching out and being the one who does the outreach. Like one of my best friend since I was 12, Veronica, she is so good at reaching out to me and making sure she's checking in. And I wish I was better at that because I just feel like I'm so drained with everything else and being on my
Yes.
phone. The last thing I want to do is be on my phone when I'm
Yeah,
not working.
phone.
So people think I'm rude because I'm not answering text messages and things like that. So I struggle with that. And then these events
Okay.
that I go to, I'm socializing, but I'm on and I'm networking and, you know,
Yes.
seldom am I going out to a meal and like really just like not taking videos or photos and enjoying the moment.
Right.
So I'm trying to do a better job at balancing that because yeah, like deeper relationships and
That's
connections with my husband's my best friend and he's really the one that I turn to and have the tightest relationship with my mom. So
yeah.
I'm trying to do better at really
Yeah.
reciprocating those amazing friendships that I have,
Sure.
especially in this
Yeah.
community. St. Gal, we just hit 5,000 followers this morning, and I have
That's great.
been really exciting. I have a team that helps me with that. And so just trying to do better at keeping that sense of community
Yeah.
translated in my real life.
Yeah. And that's part of the struggle. And
Yeah.
it's not a negative thing. It's just, and I don't think it's a balance thing. It's just and it's holding the space as you start to elevate and expand, right? Like who you are. And that's you becoming and unbecoming, right? Like there might be a death of another ego coming on here soon, right? But or I call it like standing on the edge of your next identity. And like I'm on one too right now, Alexia. I'm on like the edge and it makes me nauseated and I want to throw up like every single day. And I'm like, what is coming for me? Because this is not a fun place to be. And the very few people around me know like I don't have the mental or emotional energy right now for friendships in my life, and because I'm pouring into my work, and a lot of it is if you're not on, then I'm working behind the scenes on content or writing or speaking or trying to reach out and make connections, right? And that takes up, or being on for film, right? It takes
Yeah.
up so much, and then you want to give into your private life, so it is part of the struggle. And that's one of the things that normalizing that that's okay, and having those people around you that understand that it's not that you don't love them or you don't care. So it's important that like, because I think some people think of it as like a negative thing, or like they take it personal, or you're rejecting them, or they're being abandoned by you, or you don't care, and they
Or
expect you to show up in a certain way.
yeah, it's people think you're selfish or into yourself, but it's really like
Of
you're
course.
the piece together, the building blocks for your business and your career.
Yeah.
And if someone has a 9 to 5 and they're constantly traveling for their corporate client, it's like, oh, it's okay, he's on a business trip. But it's different.
Right.
What we're
That's
doing
right.
is our business, and it is
Yeah.
hard to reconcile, like, how am I on at all times? And I don't consume social media. That's something that I also find interesting, and a lot of women, that what we do,
I'm
it's
with
tough to
you.
actually be a consumer of social media because it's exhausting and time is a finite
Mhm.
resource. And I actually have someone
Yeah.
that helps me with the social part of social media that I outsource. She'll like respond to the comments, and very authentically, like, we work very closely together to do that. But I've learned a big part of this fight is if I can outsource certain components of it, why not have someone help me
Right.
into
Yeah.
it? So
Absolutely.
that's been helpful. But yeah, I'm just so hyper focused on my path right now that
Hmm.
it's tough for me to like coordinate like a girl's day on a Saturday when I literally just like need to lay and stare at the ceiling for 5
Yeah.
hours.
Yeah. No, no, I get it. And you know what? That's okay. And I think that's the thing, is it's got to be okay. We don't need to apologize for it or explain it. And I think a lot of people like they have to explain it away. Like I've been saying that no doesn't need backup dancers. Like no is an answer. Like we
I
don't
love
need to
that.
explain it. We don't need a bunch of explanation to justify it. Like it's a flat out no, period. And it doesn't. Nobody needs to take it personally. It's just a no.
Yep.
Not for me. Like, but all right. So let's move on to so is there any, so three of my main things is surrendering, questioning, and fighting. I think we kind of get the gist of where you're fighting. So we're kind of working backwards. So questioning, I'm a Law and Order junkie. I think there's Law and Order's been around forever. I'm an SVU, like Benson and Stabler. I've watched it 1,000 times on reruns. It puts me to bed every single night. So
That's me with
when I
Dateline.
always use this, you're a Dateline. Okay. So like we're like these crime junkies, like documentary. I don't know. There's got to be some science. We're gonna have to ask like James Clear to do a book on like, is there science between women watching documentaries and high powered women that like this is how it calms us down and puts us to sleep. Like it literally shuts my brain off.
Me
Um,
too.
right? Like it allows me to just not think about work or people or my clients or anything. And it's the only thing that literally like makes me just you know, escape. And I think it's healthy. I don't care what they say if they think I'm like crazy, but I think it's a healthy form. So but I bring it up because it's like questioning yourself. Some people don't like this. I'm a tough love, no BS type of coach. And I question my clients a lot. Like I challenge them, call them out, and call you up. So if you were one of my coaching clients, I would put you under like interrogation, questioning your current self. Like, so how would you do that in your day to day life now or weekly life where you're questioning yourself? Like, am I really doing what matters? What can go? What do I need to purge? What's the fire in my belly? How do you question yourself so that you know you are staying in alignment with what you want, not what you think you should do, not the box, not what everybody else wants you to do. How do you know that this is what Alexia wants to do, and you're not fighting for that corner office again, because it's very easy to get pulled and sucked back into that old life. So how do you question yourself on a daily basis, weekly basis? How do you do that to make sure you stay in line?
Well, it's interesting. I've been reading a lot of articles and things like that about entrepreneurs who are going back to their 9 to 5 because the entrepreneurship was so much and so much of a burnout. And they're like, hey, I just want to go back to like a mundane 9 to 5 schedule. And that's totally fine. That's okay. Sometimes I
Yeah.
think about that because what we're
Yeah.
doing is on at all times. And that's something my husband understands now. And he always says it like, I know you're on 24/7. Like it's not like
Yeah.
9 to 5. Like you never know. I'm always thinking about it, working on it. Like that's just what makes me thrive. And I think that's what makes me
Yeah.
realize that I'm on the right track because I wake up excited every
Okay.
day to work on these things,
Yes.
to
Yes.
work on myself. There are certain, like, I still have some public relations clients that I work with on a freelance basis. And I really, in my ideal world, would not do PR anymore, but I did it for so
Okay.
long, do it really well, do it in my sleep. I have people reaching out to me like, hey, I want to hire you to do it for me. You need to pay the check, the bills need to get paid
Yeah.
somehow.
Yeah.
So I
Right.
still have those certain partnerships, and which I love and I'm so happy to work on. But in my ideal world, I would be full-time
Okay.
content creating and hosting. So I
Okay.
balance. I still have those clients, and I still have, my hosting gigs on TV. I started a podcast myself, and it actually led to a radio show, which I now have Saturday
Okay.
and Sunday mornings in Spanish.
Yeah.
So, I started that building block of my own podcast because I wanted that platform. And now somebody, saw it. This radio station said, hey, we'd like to give you some airtime if you're interested. And now I have my weekend show. Mind you, it's 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday morning. So
Hey.
weekend schedule is completely shifted now, and sleep and all of that. So again, balancing like, how am I getting enough
Mhm.
sleep? Working for this radio station, which is not my podcast anymore. It's not my own publication. It is a
Yeah.
station with FCC legal things. And like, so I'm
Right.
still,
Right.
there's still that degree where you will always work for the man and you can't fully
Sure.
escape it. And I think reconciling that, but then always
Mm.
knowing that I still can, completely work for myself if I had to, and that I'm able to start something from literally nothing. And I made
Yeah.
more money first year as an entrepreneur than I ever did working 9 to 5 for corporations.
Yeah.
So knowing that, it's like, hey, I can do this. Why would I turn back and then go to
Yeah.
somebody else and living life like I was I always said it's PR, it's not heart surgery. I would get calls at midnight, like, just press release. Oh, it has to go out at 7 a.m. tomorrow. And it's like, no one's gonna die because
It was
this festival
dying. Yeah.
didn't go out. And
Yeah.
I say that to my husband, he's actually an environmental scientist. So I tell him, he freaks out about things, and I'm like, is anyone gonna die for what you're doing? And he'll say no, and then he kind of calms down. So
Yeah. Oh, I
yeah.
love that. Don't you think though? So I hear a little bit like maybe you questioned yourself, like going to work for the radio show. Was that going back to work for the man? Like, is that selling out, or is that kind of going a little bit backwards? Whereas I see it as a new door just opened up because you had the balls to do a podcast. And I know like everybody's got a podcast, everybody's doing podcasts, like that's what it seems like, but not not everybody's great at it, not everybody's brilliant at it, not everybody has the personal. It's like in my world, I've been a personal trainer since I was 19, and it's been a minute, but everybody that's good at fitness doesn't mean they can be a great personal trainer or a great fitness instructor, right?
Yep.
So but you got chosen to do a radio show. I'm thinking that's God opening another door for you to be seen, to be visible, to give you another platform and another stepping stone, whether it's temporary or it turns into something, long term. So I don't see it as a going back to work for the man or going, I see that as a holy shit opportunity. Yeah, why would you not? Because you can right now. And
Yeah.
like I'm a big believer in just because you can doesn't mean you should, but does this align with where I'm going? Does this help me get one step closer to my goal, to my future self? can I do it? You can always say, I'm done, peace out. Like you can always walk away because you have built up these other things that are in place,
Yeah, I
so
appreciate
yeah,
that you because
yeah,
that's true. And sometimes when I'm waking up at 4:45 to drive to
that,
Tampa to
that
do
sucks.
my shift, and it's tough. And Friday nights, Saturday nights are no longer, which is fine because I'm in that stage of life where I don't want to be doing that anymore. I don't want to be out late on the weekends. So it's been interesting how it's also
You're
aligned.
still too young for that. You haven't hit 40 yet. You're still, nope,
Oh
you're
my
not there yet.
goodness.
Nope, nope.
I'm all about a day drink. I'll brunch
Okay.
all day but after like 10 p.m. I'm clocked out.
Girl, I'm in bed by 8:30. Okay, so you just wait till
Yeah.
you hit like your 40s. There's something about hitting 45. I mean, I'm 25 in my head, forever 25, but when you hit 45, there's something that like happens where you're just like 8:30, I'm in bed. Now I understand the early bird special out. Like I don't so
Already
and a
there,
day drink
girl.
will put me down. So okay. I got a couple more questions. I got like two more questions for you. And then we're gonna move on to something fun and we'll wrap it up. But I could talk to you forever, but I know we've got things to do and people probably have jobs they've got to get to. Um, for the woman for the woman who is hiding, for the woman who's playing small, for the woman who's got dreams, what would you tell her? For the woman that is sitting in that corner office right now, who is ready to hit the ejector button on her life, and she is like, this, I am done. Like, that is my woman, right? Like, sounds like that's you. What would you tell her? What's the advice you would give her today?
I would say don't be afraid to take up space and don't be afraid to be seen and be loud and bright and to take up all of that space that you want
Mm,
to. If that's what you're seeking to do, the first step is the hardest, but as soon as you do
yeah.
that, you'll feel so relieved and empowered. And often I have women reach out who are wanting to take the leap, and the biggest barrier for entry is like, how do I start? What are the first steps that I take?
Mhm.
Like just a quick Google will help you set up your LLC if that's what you want to do, or if you want to start an Instagram page. Like it's all, we have a finite resource of technology and information that is so easily accessible. And so you
Right.
just have to think to use it and implement your strategy and start executing. So I think taking that first step, not being afraid to, I know, questioning yourself and like, oh, do even I, when I film like getting ready videos and things like that, I'm like, oh, does anyone want to see that? This is so cringe. I'm to the point now where I don't care because this is what I
Right.
wanted to do. And I know that there's a brand or a potential client watching. And even if I'm getting not as many views as I want as a content creator on a video, it's still putting it out there and showing up every single day. And that's the biggest thing. Showing up, being consistent, being authentic to yourself, because you're not gonna be able to keep
Yeah.
up a facade of something that's not you, but not being afraid. And when every time I go out somewhere, I am talking to people, I'm making eye contact, I'm shaking
Mm,
hands, I'm like complimenting someone's outfit, I'm exchanging business cards, because you never know what contact might lead
right.
to something wonderful. And that's really how I've made the most of my connections financially, amazing partnerships, wonderful opportunities on TV and with major brands, really through just like a firm handshake and like handing my business card, or digitally, just not being
Mm,
afraid to send an email. Funny story, the Home Shopping Network, I don't like to share this too much, but I was able to get in to the Home Shopping Network because obviously I worked my butt off, but I found the head of talent online and I was like, how do I get in this lady's inbox? How do I find her?
yeah.
So my mom and I worked together. My mom called her assistant and said, we're handing an award to so and so for her amazing work on behalf of the University of so. Can you confirm her email address so that we can, send the award info? Got the email address. Boom. I sent her my reel. I sent her my information. I said, please consider me for any openings in the future. Couple of months later, I got an audition. And it was getting scrappy, not being afraid to reach out
Yeah.
and figure it out, macheting my
Yeah.
way to that contact and then reaching out and
Yeah.
just blue and putting my, I mean, I crafted a
Yeah.
very strategic email, put together a beautiful host reel and audition tape, sent it her way. And then that led me to my first audition. And then the
Yeah.
process began. But not being
Yeah.
afraid to get scrappy and resourceful and to just reach out to someone that you may be looking up to or someone you want to work with, a brand, and saying, hey, I'm here. So nice to meet you. Keep me in
Yeah.
mind. You never know.
Make the Yeah, make the ask. That's all you got to do is make the ask.
Yep.
Just make the ask, and not be afraid to make the comment, make the ask, like just, ask and you shall receive. Like it's that, it seems monumental, but the worst thing is you're going to get told no, right? And then that's like, and then you just got to keep going until you get a yes, like, because once you decide it's yours, it's yours. Like I believe that. And
And
I have a
rejection.
feeling you're that little girl as well. Like once you decide you want something, you get what you want. Like it's
Yeah,
just
I
it's
don't let it
mine. Like yeah, I'm gonna get what I want. So okay, so I have one more question. What is oh, I got like 20 questions for you, but time. What's one project? I know you got a bunch, but what is one project right now that you are just like super excited about and that you want to tell the world about?
Well, my radio show, really, I'm pretty new
Okay.
into it, so it's super exciting. It's on El Sol 97.1 FM, 97.1 FM here in Tampa Bay, and you can stream it nationwide. But it's, my own radio show from 6 to 10 a.m. I talk about
Love it.
local lifestyle entertainment and I play Spanish music. So it's really crazy to be full circle because in all transparency, when I was doing the soap operas and things in Spanish at a young age, it was like with the same channels. So coming back
Okay.
now and doing it and being, an actual host or DJ for this radio station is really
Yeah.
cool. And just, pushing on St. Pete Gals. We have a lot of exciting events. Actually, right after our call, I have a call with the spa for an event that we'll be putting together, a wellness event for
Okay.
the St. Pete Gals community. So that's just a beautiful, empowering space for women to come together and connect. And I'm, just keeping things moving in 2025 with the Gala Life, really exciting partnerships. Just partnered with Corona and the Tampa Bay Lightning on a great campaign where I was paid and also got like VIP tickets to go see the Lightning. So again, something that I always like to emphasize is I have a following on Instagram of under 10,000 followers and I'm making thousands of dollars every month through my platform. And that's not including my hosting work and the other work that I do. That's just like paid reels and collaborations and videos and photos on Instagram. So again, that's because I'm not afraid to
It
pitch, reach out to these partners, give them, a strategic, well put together pitch and showing them like, hey, I'm different. I bring value added to your brand, to your organization. I may not have 50,000 followers, but XYZ is why I'll benefit you.
right. Yeah. So not to let that like that big following, right? Like I don't have a huge following, but I don't let that bother me from like reaching out and making the asks. And, I believe in the quality, the uniqueness, and kind of the authority and the conviction. Like and
Yep.
I feel that from you. But I hear you telling people out there, do not let that, oh, I don't have 1,000 followers, 5,000, 10,000, 50,000, a million followers, or I'm not a celebrity, or I'm not a guru. Like, do not let that hold you back from starting your dream, from stepping out of, keeping yourself small or hidden.
Right, exactly. In terms of social media, specifically the follower count, I feel like that's a huge
Yeah.
barrier for
Huge.
some people that they're afraid
Yeah.
that, oh, I'm not going to get a lot of followers or I don't have a lot of followers. If
Yeah.
you're positioning yourself, like they say, dress for the job that you want, like position
Yeah.
your social media platforms and your profiles and your portfolio as if you are this like seasoned lifestyle creator
Absolutely.
and you show up as such, and people will take you seriously and you have that credibility and give you that authority. So, don't be afraid to really show up as the person that you want, the creator, the business guru that you want to be. Make sure you're
Yeah.
educating yourself and that you're doing the research. And that I spoke about this on another podcast. I learned a lot on YouTube
Yeah.
University, just because you don't have a master's degree in social media marketing. If you take the time and do the research and get that education to be credible and to have quality content and output, then
Right.
those will come. So for
Yeah.
me, quality is most important when I'm putting anything out on social media, the quality versus the quantity. I rather post twice a week something really top tier than like every day a grainy photo of my outfit. And then also community with St. Pete Gals,
Sure.
that is a community. And also with my Gala Life page, I've been able to build a loyal community, a
Yeah.
hyper focused local community. And that is also a draw to brands who are looking to penetrate in specific markets. So showing like, hey, I have this really local community or locally focused, loyal community that they're going to like everything that I post. They're going to go eat at the restaurants that I'm posting about. that's more valuable than someone with 50,000 followers who, that engagement is just,
Absolutely.
oop. So,
Yeah. And that's a whole nother podcast that we could talk
yeah.
about, like just about community and building that up. So, but
Yeah.
I want to end with a little bit of, we're going to end on something fun, if that's cool with you, a little
Yes.
rapid fire just about Alexia so they can know behind the scenes, the woman, the little girl, the fun in you, the wife, the who you are. It's kind of like a this or that. Does that sound
Okay.
cool?
I love that.
I think it's a fun way to end because some of the stuff is heavy that we talk about. Some of it's fun, some of it's all like professional stuff. So this is totally just this or that. So don't overthink it. First thing that rolls off of your tongue. All right, you ready?
Yep.
All right, let's go. Tacos or pizza?
Pizza,
Wine or beer?
wine, prosecco.
All right. Okay, I already know the answer to this, but go out or stay in.
That's tough. I like to call myself an introverted extrovert, so it really depends. But if I can stay in with Real Housewives and a little bit of champagne and some good food, I'll stay in. I'll take that over anything.
You're gonna stay in, but for work you got to go out. Yeah.
Yeah, but I love a
Cat
bougie
or,
place. Don't get me wrong.
yeah. Cat or dog?
Dog,
All right. Cold or hot?
hot,
Messy or neat?
neat.
Neat. That's surprising. Okay, so far everybody's been messy. So you are the first neat like entrepreneur. Way to go.
That's fun.
Gold star for you. Okay. Cook at home or takeout?
Take out,
Dressed up or casual?
dressed up.
Spontaneous road trip or plan your vacation?
Spontaneous road trip,
All right. City life or country living?
city life.
Early riser or night owl?
Now I'm an early riser.
Phone call or text?
Text,
All right. Road trip music, rock or pop?
rock,
All right. Sneakers or sandals?
sneakers,
Thrill ride or beach chair?
beach chair,
Chocolate or vanilla?
vanilla.
Yeah. Book or movie?
Oh, the
I
book
know.
seems so much better.
Yeah.
I'll say movie.
All right. Window seat or aisle?
Aisle. I have a lot of
Okay.
claustrophobia.
Okay. Okay. Dance floor or people watching?
Dance floor.
Of course.
Yes.
Movie marathon or game night?
Movie marathon.
Movie marathon, of course. All right. So that right, that's fun. I think you get to
Oh,
know a
I
lot
love
about
that.
a person, like just a
I
little
think
rapid
so.
fire fun there.
That's fun.
Okay.
Yeah, it also makes me think about myself. Interesting.
Right? Okay, so last words before we go. I want you to think about one last kind of a doozy of a question, but um like last 2 cents you were given, right? Like this is you're walking out of a room off stage, last radio show host, whatever it is that you're doing. What do you want to leave people with? Like, what is your mark? Like, what is your like dying, like fighting wish message that you want people to know about you or about your mission?
Well, I would hope to inspire somebody. That would be my biggest goal, that to inspire at least one person to be able to step out of their comfort zone and live a life that is aligned to their authentic self. I think that to me is the most exciting thing to learn. So, yeah, that would be my biggest mission.
To get out of fighting for that corner office and to do the damn thing, right?
Yeah, to
Get
know
out
that you
there.
can do it on yourself, or all yourself, and that you're worth it, that you're valuable, that,
Yeah.
knowing that you come to this world, into this life with finite time, and that you use that time to at least open somebody else's eyes and connect with someone else and inspire someone else in some positive way. So to me, I think that's the end all be all for me, and having fun while I do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Alexia, thank you so much for being on the Daily Fight podcast. I really enjoy you. I would love to have you back if you would come back at a later
Yes.
time to talk about community and how you have built up community because I think that's huge. especially for just kind of the lone wolf woman. I'm not sure, like for the women that are like, oh, I hate groups or I don't do groups. I get a lot of that with, no, you're giggling. Like, do you hear that a lot?
Well, as I said, I'm an introverted extrovert. So like I said, we spoke about, I was an only child. I had to
Yeah,
learn how to like fend for myself, but I'm really social and really love to connect with people and really love
yeah,
being with people. So it's balancing that, like, how am I
yeah,
authentically creating community and also engaging with everybody? But I'm also this like kind of lone wolf type of vibe.
yeah.
So I think
Hmm.
it's an interesting topic too that I'd love to flesh out with you, and maybe we can do it in
Yeah.
person. I have a
Oh,
couple of
that would be
cool podcast locations that we could film at, so
ah. Oh, I would absolutely, yeah, because I'm just right over the bridge. So I'm
yeah,
in Tampa. So yeah, we're not far from each other. I would absolutely love to do that. So that would be great. I let's it's a
I'll
date, yes?
on that.
Yeah, 2025 date. Let's do it because I think that's a huge topic. So, and I'm creating a revolution for women to come together with their life fitness. So it's like personal, professional, and physical fitness all in one place. So they stop grasping for everything in one area and getting them to come together in community, where they have a place where they feel safe to really kind of release these inner struggles and these things as they're developing their inner strength with their outer strength, so body and belief matches up. But whole nother podcast. But
I
woman, you're a badass. Keep kicking ass and macheting your damn path. I am so proud of you. Like, I know I follow you, I read you. I'm not fangirling at all. I don't like I totally am a little bit, but only because, and I'm pretty fucking
you
picky.
know,
I'm just saying I don't put anybody on a pedestal because I get it. Like I get where you've come from. Like I can see the story. I know we just got a glimpse of it today, but I honor the struggle, the trauma, the pain that you witnessed, that you saw. Been there, done that. I've got several of those t-shirts as well. And I think that's the connection there of the energy of pushing through to not show how tough and resilient and amazing we are and that we can do it, but to use it for good and to bring others up with us and to just make it normal that we can do this. We don't have to do it somebody else's way on their terms. We can pace ourselves, we can push ourselves, we can fight for our future selves, like, and that we don't have to abandon our dreams. Like we can do this. Like it's possible. It doesn't just have to
I
be
like to
for
say
the man, like,
rejection
so
I found that rejection is redirection is the
yeah,
biggest thing I've taken from my journey. So, just learning that and allowing that trauma to fuel you and be the fire and not take over you. So I definitely need to
yeah,
offline with you on doing better about my fitness, because that's one area that when I'm working really hard,
yeah.
I lose it in the balance, and it's really important for me and my
Mhm.
mental health. So I'll definitely need
Yeah.
some points there.
Yeah, well, you know where to find me, so we can talk about that offline. But for everybody else, hit me up for the fitness. Hit her up for everything at St. Pete Gals, the Gala Life. Drop down in the show notes. Listen to her on the what was it again? It's 97.1. And do not ask me to do Spanish because it'll sound like Japanese and Russian put together, even though my husband is Spanish.
Oh, he's got to tune in El Sol 97.1 FM or the Home Shopping Network, where I'm actually selling this necklace next week. So
Oh, I love it. I absolutely love it. Well, thank you so much. You're an absolute joy. I love your energy. Again, keep kicking ass. Thank you for your time today. This is the Daily Fight, guys. Have a great one. Peace out.
thank you, Robin. Bye.